Okay, now let's work on here. We see that we have the names, and we're going to go ahead and we are going to write the formulas for them. Now again, it's the same process. We have to figure out what we're dealing with. Okay, if we're dealing with a metal to begin with, we know that we're going to crisscross. Or hydrogen to begin with, we're going to crisscross. But if it's a non-metal, then at the very beginning, we know we're going to use the prefixes. Okay, so when we're looking at this, we see that we have potassium phosphate. Potassium is a metal. Okay, so we know that we're dealing with an ionic compound. So we are going to crisscross. And we're going to crisscross their oxidation numbers or their charges. So right here we have to begin with, we go ahead and we look at potassium, and we know that its symbol is K. Okay, phosphate, since it ends in ATE, is a polyatomic, and it is PO4. Okay, and we always like to put polyatomics in parentheses. Now, what we have to do is we have to crisscross their oxidation numbers. So the oxidation number of potassium is going to be +1, okay, because it's in group 1. And we know by memorizing phosphate that this is going to be -3. Now, all we do is we crisscross and bring these guys down to the bottom. We don't worry about their charges because their charges are going to balance out. And what we see that we get is we get K3, and in parentheses PO4, and then the 1 on the outside. Now, we don't actually need these parentheses and the 1 on the outside. All we can do is write potassium phosphate like K3PO4, because we don't need that 1 because it's understood. Alright, let's move on to our next one. We see that we have calcium sulfide. Again, calcium is a metal, so we're going to have an ionic compound, so we're going to crisscross. So the first thing that we do is we write the symbol. Calcium is Ca. Sulfide, since it ends in that IDE ending, I know that it's going to be sulfur, so I just write an S. Okay. From here, I have to write their oxidation numbers. Since calcium is in group 2, it has a +2 oxidation number, and since sulfur is in group 16, it has a -2 oxidation number. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring these guys on down to the bottom. Remember, don't worry about the charges. And what we get is we get Ca2S2. Okay? Now, when you can reduce, when these oxidation numbers up here, when they match up, that's a 2, that's a 2. Okay? I know this one's positive, that's negative, but the 2's match up. When you do that, go ahead and reduce it. Okay? So what we'll do is we'll reduce it down to CaS, which is calcium sulfide.